Hey guys, so yesterday there was a lot of hype around this newly discovered glitch in Bowser in the Fire Sea. It was discovered by Andrew, Andru, who left his Wii on overnight and then came back the next morning and found that these platforms had risen above the lava. So we currently have a theory for why this happens. The game uses floating point numbers to store positions of objects. And in this case, what we care about is the height of this platform. And it does some arithmetic each frame. It adds the sign of a timer to the height. And normally, because sine oscillates, it would just keep moving up and down normally. But because of floating point imprecision, there's a possibility that it wouldn't quite go back to where it started. Now, in the case of the original console in 64 and on emulators that are correctly emulating the original console, this doesn't happen. It goes back to the original position. That's just because it uses a rounding mode, round to nearest, where if the result of the calculation doesn't land exactly on a floating point number, it'll round to the nearest floating point number. And that just kind of makes the math even out so that it goes back to the original spot. But on Wii VC, for whatever reason, instead of rounding to the nearest floating point number, they round towards zero. So if you're below zero, it'll always round up. If you're above zero, it'll always round down. And that causes these platforms to slowly have this error build up over time that causes them to move toward zero in height. Now these platforms are below the origin, so they continue moving upward. These platforms also exist at the top of the level, and those ones move downward. In Lethal Lava Land, these platforms also exist, but they're already at zero, so they don't move at all. So what you're watching right now is a simulation of this theory, the rounding mode theory, running at 1,000 times the original speed. Now, this movement is extremely slow. It moves at 13 units per hour at first, and then every power of 2 that it reaches, the speed cuts in half. And that's because floating point numbers become more precise as you go closer to the origin. So in this case, it starts at negative 3,000-ish, moving at 13 units per hour. Once it hits negative 2048, it's going to start moving at 6 units per hour. And it turns out this does let us get past the pole. If you just stand on these platforms long enough, they'll eventually get high enough that you can just dive or slide kick into this like fenced area by the pole. It's actually a one-way wall, so you can just clip right through it. Our original estimate was that this would take 8 days because that's the height you need to dive and then dive recover into the cage. We now are thinking more 3 days because we can actually use Lava Boost VSC to shorten the time a bit. And Wii VC is the only platform that does this as far as we're aware. Wii U VC actually has the rounding mode correct, so it doesn't do it. But yeah, this saves the last day press on Wii VC. Probably. It's not technically confirmed yet. Because no one's sat there for 8 days yet.